Hey guys, it's MJ, the student actuary, and in this video we're going to be speaking about politics. And I'm going to show you how actuarial science can help you win the political campaign in America. Now, statistics plays a key role in democracy. After all, it is the candidate with the most votes that becomes president, and the statistic used is called the mode. But where statistics can be used to analyze results, like we see here, actuarial science can be used to influence the results. But before we go into that, very quickly, I want to introduce you guys to American politics. Basically, you have two main parties, the Democrats, who are liberals, and the Republicans, who are conservatives, generally. And I'm just going to be reading up a little bit from Wikipedia on what these two different ideologies are. So, for the Democrats, modern American liberalism is the dominant version of liberalism in the United States. It combines liberal ideas of civil liberty and equality with support for social justice and a mixed economy. The modern liberal philosophy strongly endorses government spending on programs such as education, healthcare, and welfare. Or more simply, tax the rich to feed the poor. And in the case of the Republicans, historically the central themes in American conservatism have included respect for American traditions, support for republicanism, and the rule of Judeo-Christian values, anti-communism, advocacy of American exceptionalism, and a defense of Western civilization from perceived threats posed by moral relativism, multiculturalism, and postmodern ridicule of traditional culture. Liberty is a core value with a particular emphasis on strengthening the free market and the opposition to high taxes and government or labor union encroachment on the entrepreneur. Or more simply, don't tax the rich that heavily, and hopefully this encourages them to do more business, which then results in the poor being employed. Okay. And now, how does the system work? Well, each party will select a candidate, and then on voting day, you choose either the Republicans or the Democrats. And I'm an expert on American politics because I have watched Kevin Spacey in the Netflix original series House of Cards. But now, where does actuarial science come into the game? Well, I'm going to show you very quickly. Already, political commentators have used diagrams like this to understand the political environment. So what we have here is a scale from left liberalism to right conservatism. And the more extreme your view means the less tolerant you are of the opposing view. So now, also plotted on this graph is the population percentage on how people identify themselves with the two ideologies. And what this curve is showing is that most people are moderate, and there are just a few at the extremes. And I know they try to call this curve the normal, but it doesn't really look that normal. Let me just show you. Sorry, I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to these distributions. This is what the normal curve looks like. And there's problems with this curve because it's used more frequently than it should be. And the reason being is that it's very easy to work with mathematically. Calculations are quite easy to do with it. And it does look reasonable, but using the assumption of normal distributions in finance was one of the key causes of the financial crisis. So it's very dangerous to just assume that things are distributed normally, but to start our discussion, we're going to hold on to it. I just made my own diagram with a more accurate looking normal distribution. So let's bring in our candidates. So the Democrats are going to be slightly to the left, so they're going to be in the middle, but just slightly to the left, and the Republicans are going to be slightly to the right, and then you have Donald Trump, who is to the far right. And now the reason why these guys are crowding in the middle is for this reason. Okay, you want to be close to the center so that you can capture more votes, because remember, only one candidate goes from each party, which means everyone to the right of that candidate or right of the Republican candidate will vote for him, and everyone to the left of the Democrat candidate will vote for her. And the deciding fact will be, who do the people in between the candidates vote for? Now, sometimes they're split, sometimes it gets a little bit swayed. But you want to position yourself as close as you can to the center. And so much so, while I was doing my research for this, there were some things that were saying that Obama was actually positioned slightly right on the spectrum. And that might have been the reason why, or one of the contributing factors for him winning. So if this is the case, what is Donald Trump doing so far to the right? Well, remember we were talking about the problems with using the normal distribution? Well, turns out in politics, it's also the wrong distribution to use. I know, it's shocking. It's shocking that they can do this, but what is the right distribution to use? Well, for 2016, we don't know yet what it's going to be, but I was finding some research on the internet, and it's been plotting the curve throughout time. And we can see that from this distribution, back in the day, like 12 years ago, it was kind of normal. But slowly, there's been a split of the curves, and they've become more polarized. So this means people are becoming more extreme in their ideologies. Okay, and maybe this trend is going to continue up into 2016. So we might be dealing with a population distribution like this. Now, these are two skewed fat-tailed distributions, one skewed to the left for the Democrats and one skewed to the right for the Republicans. And this makes things very interesting because let's look at the Republicans. Okay, with a polar distribution, it means that there are far more extreme conservatives than previously thought. And Donald Trump has got an uncontested claim on these voters. And what's worse, it means all the other candidates are fighting for a much smaller slice than previously thought. And this is why Donald Trump is leading the polls. The Republicans have too many other candidates fighting in the middle. And so when it comes to who's going to be the candidate, the Republicans have to nominate Trump as their chosen one. Because also, he has strategically threatened to run as an independent if not chosen. And this can be disaster for the Republican Party because it means that the right would be split and would be a very easy win for the Democrats. So I'm really expecting Donald Trump to be the candidate for the Republicans. And he's either been very lucky that it just happened by chance that the population shares his views, or he has been very intelligent. He's seen the change in the population distributions and positioned himself to take the gap. Now, with all this uncertainty in the Republican Party, it has led the bookies to back the Democrats. But yeah, that's right. You can bet on politicians and you can make money from it if you're smart and if you're over the age of 18. So also, it's not going to be looking good for the Republicans, as it means if Donald Trump is elected, the middle voters are going to maybe sway towards the Democrat candidate. So this is what I'm guessing. I'm guessing that Trump is going to win the Republican candidate thing, and then he's going to change his tune when it comes to the general election. He's going to move more to the middle, possibly drop his extreme ideas of building a massive wall around America. This is what I think is going to happen. But it all comes down to these future distributions. And Actuarial Science has some impressive mathematical tools to construct these distributions with just a little bit of information. And this can be used to aid Donald Trump in how he should position himself on the political spectrum after he becomes the Republican candidate. And I do think Trump will be the next president if we see distributions like this. So ideal conditions would be a skewed to the right distribution for the conservatives and a close to symmetrical distribution for the liberals. So just to recap, how to become president? Well, first, you want to get as much information as you can. You can do these online surveys, send them out to people, pay people to do them, get your information. Then what you want to do is use those graduating techniques that you learned in subject CT4, model construction and all that, and you're going to build your distribution. Then you want to plot your opponents and see what areas that they have covered in their campaign. Next, you're going to want to pick your spot, develop your campaign around those ideas, find the gap. And then, finally, you just need to make America great again. So that's how easy it is to become president in America. South African politics, the country where I'm from, it's another story altogether. It's not very smart to make comments on politics, so I just like to make art around the topic. But yeah, speaking of South Africa, why don't you guys join the Facebook group that I've made for the South African students? In it, we just discuss the various videos, we throw up news and various stuff in the insurance and actuarial industry. Also, it's a great place for you to message me. I actually get notifications. I don't get that notifications for YouTube. So just tell me what videos you want to see and all that type of stuff. So even if you're not South African, please feel free to join the Facebook group. I am going to put a link in the description below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. I will be posting more tutorials and more fun videos like these. Thanks guys for watching, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.